Spotify Wrapped has become a sort of special event every year for music fans, a way to reflect and look back on the music you've listened to the past year. If you're somehow unaware of what Spotify Wrapped is, because you're either a die-hard Apple user or still listen to music on plastic discs, let me quickly explain. Essentially, Spotify tracks your listening habits throughout the year and neatly packages it into a colourful slideshow that immediately appeals to your artificial dopamine-addicted brain. Usually this is in the form of top songs and artists, although this year they added some new features, one of which is essentially just star signs for music listeners, and another feature that attaches your listening habits to a particular city. So if you're a white kid from suburban UK, you can finally relate to Detroit. The service is simple enough, pretty easy to understand. What I find interesting about the entire Spotify Wrapped phenomenon is the way in which it portrays music fans and society in general. Elitism exists in all forms in pretty much any and every medium. People feel proud and important for listening to a particular type of music, even if it's something they just parade for a Zoom or social credit score online. I feel like this fact gets highlighted every time Spotify Wrapped comes around. You hear the phrase, "My Wrapped sucks this year," "I hate my Wrapped." You'll even see motherfuckers straight up editing their Wrapped on Photoshop. This confuses me entirely, as it's quite literally what they actually listen to. This brings me to the conclusion that music as a whole has become more of a symbol of status than an enjoyable pastime based on personal tastes and preferences. So why is this? Why has music morphed into a tactic to impress people who literally 95% of the time do not give a single f***? At its core, music is entirely subjective. Well, kind of. I know people who look like this may disagree and spout their abhorrent opinion as if it's a fact, but if we look at the core purpose of music as a whole, it's for enjoyment. If people enjoy listening to a white girl whine with an acoustic guitar, that's fine. That music can be considered good or high quality for that particular person. What muddies the water a little bit is the objective elements of music. This can be categorized by technical skill, lyrical complexity, experimentation, being actually in key. There's reasons albums like Trout Mask Replica remain so divided. It purposely sounds like complete dog shit because it ignores all the musical elements that might actually appeal to the human brain. Even at its core, a song with a complete lack of any mixing and mastering can be considered objectively bad. For example, Skepta rapping over a guitar track doused in so much reverb you can't hear a single clear note can be considered bad quality. The issue continues to arise when personal taste and preference comes into play. If we go back to my earlier example of Trout Mask Replica, that album essentially ignored any rules or conventions set by music to make it actually appealing. It's out of time, out of key, and sounds genuinely schizophrenic, but it still receives praise online, and I can guarantee at least one of you motherfuckers had Captain Beefheart as your top artist on Spotify Wrapped. So how does this all relate to specifically Spotify Wrapped? Well, if music was unanimously agreed upon to be entirely subjective, there wouldn't be an issue here. People would be happy about what Spotify Wrapped portrayed, they would appreciate the music that accompanied them throughout the year, and be proud to share that with the rest of the world, because it's what sounds good to them, and other opinions don't matter due to the heaviness of subjectivity. So based on my prior ramblings, it would seem the whole Wrapped elitism phenomena stems entirely from the aspects of objectivity within music. Yeah, no, not at all. Unless your Wrapped looks like this, that probably isn't true. The majority of popular music nowadays is so ridiculously overproduced and has to jump through so many hoops before release that objective low quality is extremely rare. I think this whole phenomenon has a lot more to do with the bandwagon and fandom culture that has been produced by the rise of the internet. Before the internet, the only way to connect with fans of the same music would be through concerts, record shops, or just pure chance. Nowadays, anyone can find pretty much anyone, and there are communities intrinsically built into social medias, specifically for individuals who are fans of particular things. The anonymity of the internet makes this fact even more heinous. People will join subcultures and act completely ravenous when confronted with opinions that may not align with, well, I would say their opinion, but it's more like a collective hive mind. This, combined with our natural herd instinct, has led to full-on keyboard battles between different fan bases on which generic pop music is objectively better. This has not only led to hate from these collectives to individuals with different opinions, but an element of hate towards those particular groups, and therefore towards the artists or anyone who may enjoy that particular artist, despite whether they're involved with the culture or not. This can obviously be seen with Taylor Swift, with a lot of hate towards certain Spotify Wraps, specifically targeting Swift due to the whole Swiftie thing. In addition to the internet producing circle jerk cultures, it has also opened up the typical music listener to pretty much every song ever made. Back in the crate digger days, individuals would listen to what was either recommended or appealed to them at a record shop based on album cover alone. Nowadays, each and every music fan has an entire musical landscape at their fingertips, which may lead to a sense of shame or dissatisfaction when they find out they have listened to the same pop song on repeat for countless hours, instead of delving into the endless flow of interesting avant-garde music that will make them much more appealing to the member of the opposite sex that probably wears far too much jewelry and smells rancid 45% of the time. Flex culture and status has always been a thing as well, whether it be this motherfucker or if we go even further back, this motherfucker. The internet has pushed this to absurd places where status is no longer based on achievements or wealth. It stretches to all corners of culture and taste, with music being one of those corners. An eclectic taste, portrayed through our diverse and cultured Spotify Wrapped, has become one of the ways people flex their status in terms of their taste in regards to music, which is why you so often hear the term, "my Spotify Wrapped sucks," or excuses as to why their Spotify Wrapped might have particular artists on. Music consumption suits many different needs: parties, depression, gym, the list can go on forever. Spotify as a service is so convenient that it can be utilized for pretty much every scenario, meaning when the Wrapped comes around, you are faced with a list of artists that may have been utilized for many different scenarios, not just your male manipulator, patrician, Anthony Fantano, barrelhead ass mood. When people are faced with what is essentially an archive of listening that is specifically designed to be shared with others, and let's be honest, increase the Spotify's user base, many listeners are faced with the dark truth that what they actually listen to doesn't align with the persona that they have made for themselves online. Like personally, I'm a YouTuber that covers mainly rock and metal. My top artist was Skrillex, and I don't give a fuck. Quest for Fire powered me through this year. After all that blabbing, which essentially consisted of an extremely caffeinated me throwing up words on a keyboard with zero research or knowledge, let's go back to the actual title of this video. What does it actually mean, apart from being as clickable as humanly possible? Well, if you clicked on the video, it's highly likely you felt a little bit called out. You are slightly insecure about what was presented on your Spotify Wrapped, which I believe personally is a feeling that should be disregarded and replaced with pride. Listening habits that completely comply with what would make you cool or unique online is actually the least unique thing possible. What makes music such an interesting topic and a beautiful thing is the variety that has been made possible through subjectivity as well as different tastes and opinions. So what, you listen to a hardstyle remix of a Katy Perry song 100 times? That is a reference from personal experience, by the way. That is what makes you unique. Spotify Wrapped can be seen as a beautiful thing, a way to truly look back on how you felt throughout the year, link a particular rage beat to a particular moment in time, and perhaps see how you have developed. So yeah, your Spotify Wrapped might suck. You might feel a little bit of embarrassment every time you see your top artist. You might even hate pretty much your entire top songs playlist, but it's a good thing. Be proud of what you listen to, even if your taste has changed entirely. Music is extremely important. It accompanies us through life, through the ups and downs, the highs and lows, and luckily Spotify allows us to look back at this and experience the ebb and flow of life through music. Even though Spotify is a billion-dollar corporation that allegedly couldn't give less of a f about the artist on the platform, let alone an individual user, and Spotify Wrapped is allegedly only designed to go viral every year to attract more individuals to the platform so they can have an alleged stranglehold over the entire consumption of music across the globe. Remember guys, buy artist merch, buy vinyls, go to gigs. Show and spread elitism through support as opposed to a status symbol based on an algorithm from a company that allegedly has access to all of your data.